Africa Prime, brought to you by Jameson's Select Reserve.
Welcome back to this special edition of Africa Prime, where tonight we're taking a look at Zambia and we're speaking to the CEO of Zanaco, Zambia's biggest bank by number of customers, by number of branches, as well as by number of cards issued. But when we went to the break, Martin, we spoke about the environment where you operate in. And as we say, noted, Zambia certainly has been a very stable investment destination in the last few years. Is that why you chose Zambia?
It's one of the reasons why we chose Zambia. I think that when I say we, it's a representation of Rabobank International. Rabobank chose to make investments both in Zambia but also in Tanzania, Rwanda and Mozambique. And in those countries, they saw tremendous potential for development of the food and agriculture sector because of the land and the climate in those countries. So yes, Zambia was clearly on that list. It has tremendous potential there. And we chose to make an investment in the Zambia National Commercial Bank in 2007, and it was privatized further. It was sent through the initial public offering in 2008, whereby the government majority share was sold down to 25%. So it's 46% Rabo, 25% government, and the rest is free float. So we are proud to be known as the People's Bank, which is a citizen-owned, majority Zambian-owned organization.
So that was Rabobank, but what about for you personally? Was Zambia always the first choice?
It was a very intriguing choice I was presented with last year. I did not know about Zambia. Most Europeans know about the larger countries in Southern Africa, but Zambia was new for me. We had a friend who was Zambian. He told me quite enthusiastically about the country and the people. And when presented with the opportunity to become CEO of Zanaco, after the first review with my wife, we said, this is the place to be.
And what have you found?
A country which has a lot of opportunity, is safe, is very comfortable in terms of living conditions, has a stable regulatory environment for doing business, government which has predictable policies, but very importantly, people who are fun. And people who are friendly, people who are open, people who can have a laugh with you, and we've really enjoyed that.
Are you a farmer yourself?
I'm not a farmer myself. My wife is trying to start some chicken farming, but I'll help her with that, but I'm not a farmer myself.
Yeah.
I know a lot about farming, but I'm not a farmer myself.
And for Rabobank itself, looking back over the 10 months that it's been in Zambia, what have the returns been like?
Well, Rabobank has been there since 2007.
Oh, okay.
And so it's been
taken over Zanaco.
That's correct. Okay. I've just been there since that period of time that you mentioned. The returns have been very attractive. We've had good growth rates. We've had a steady dividend policy. And so it's been an attractive investment just by itself in terms of financial impact. But very importantly also, we believe strongly as Rabo that we need to have an impact on the local economy and helping to develop the farming community. We started as an organization, as a cooperative bank over 110 years ago. And this is a model which we'd like to see expanded in different areas of the world. So we're giving back to our community as well.
Have you had any surprises since you've been there?
Always surprises.
Negative, positive?
Well, I think that the banking elements of running Zanaco are not too much different than what I've experienced elsewhere in the world. I think that working in a new environment, new culture, a new economic regime takes some getting used to. But so far, no huge surprises. I think that Zanaco has been well run over the last 5 years. So as the Dutch say, there's a strange expression, but you're like stepping into a bed that's been made for you. It's comfortable, and it's clear, and it's not going to be too difficult to get a good night's sleep.
I must say I'm slightly surprised because you told me that you came from ING, and ING is one of the biggest banks in the world, and one would imagine, and one of the oldest as well, and one would imagine their systems and how they do things must be not way different, but I would imagine different significantly, if you like, to an operating environment in a third world country, an emerging economy where you had a government that previously followed socialist policies and now is changing over to a market economy.
Yeah. Well, two things. One, it's wonderful to be able to shape an organization which hasn't been in place for the last 150 years. There's a benefit for being that old as an organization, but also has very set ways of doing things, and we can help to develop that in Zanaco ourselves. In working in a country which has a socialist past, no problems at all. I used to work in Hungary, and there were good communists there, and we were able to find a good way to help our clients there and still keep the government happy with the business we did there too. So that's fine.
Absolutely. So let's talk about where you have been. You've been to Hungary. You've been to many parts of Europe.
Yep, I'm a son of a diplomat, so I've lived all over the world. Ireland, India, Turkey, Jamaica, USA, and Netherlands as well. So having lived in Nigeria as a young lad, I had a bit of a feeling for Africa, but it's a long time ago. And so Zambia is a new adventure for me. Yeah.
So how long will you stay in Zambia?
3 to 5 years is the normal contractual term for CEOs.
Any decisions beyond the 3, 4, 5 years that you need to stay there contractually?
I just started, so I'm going to have a really good time here now. I've been warmly welcomed by staff, board, and clients, and my wife has just joined me after a transition from Europe. So we're just settling in now, and we're going to really have an enjoyable time for the next 3 to 4 years.
So let's talk about where you want to take Zanaco in the next few years. I mean, I was just looking at some of your numbers here, and I'll just pick off some of the main ones.
Sure.
In terms of deposits, we're looking at 14% growth over the past 5 years. This is on IFRS basis. Return on assets, 2% in 2006,
Sure.
and we're sitting now at 3%, growth of 13%. And on return on equity, we're looking at 18%, and that has grown to around 24%. So
That's
very,
right.
very steady growth.
Yep.
When you look at it as a new guy who's come in, where do you want to take those numbers?
We have a number of priorities which we have in our strategic plan, which was just approved by our board. Number one, we want to grow the book of business which we have with our retail clients. We want to grow our client base from the current 500,000 to about 1 million by the year 2015. We want to, number two, continue to work very closely with the government. They are both a shareholder but also a major client of ours, so we want to ensure that we provide the services in ever improved basis for the government. Number three, food and agriculture is very important for us, and we are currently not the first in that marketplace, and we want to grow that business in terms of clients, in terms of services, in terms of loan book to the food and agriculture sector as well. And number four, SMEs in any economy are the motor for the economy, and there's tremendous opportunity for growth in Zambia for SMEs. So those are the main areas we want to focus on. In the meantime, we've also built up a profitable bank, which entails we also have corporate exposure, and our corporate book of business has grown to match our size in the economy. And on the treasury side, we are the leader in Kwacha in terms of our deposit base, in terms of the size of our treasury. And we want to expand that both in Kwacha as well as foreign currency going forward.
That suggests quite a large amount of capital outlay here. What sort of sums are we talking about over 5 years?
It's not so bad, Godfrey. We've done a lot of investment over the last 5 years. We have 57 branches, and we'll grow that organically by about 5 or 6 per year going forward. We're very proud of an alliance we signed this year with the Zambian postal system, and with Zampost we now have the ability to provide cash in, cash out and transfer services to Zanaco clients in an additional 124 locations in Zambia. So in total we'll have 180 branches and points of representation in which we'd like to invite our customers but also prospective customers to use our services because it's the largest by far branch network in Zambia.
And so you're not going to give me a number?
Capital expenditure per year has been approximately $5 million, and we'll continue on that basis going forward as well. We need to make sure that we have the right investment in our brick and mortar, in our IT systems. Those are all CapEx items. We also continue to invest in our people. We want to make sure we have our people trained to the right level of service.
Sure. I didn't hear in those numbers any suggestions that that growth is going to be anything other than organic.
That's true. That's true. Even though with opportunity does arise in the Zambian market and it fits with our business model, then we will certainly consider that.
Yeah. And would you say that growth is going to be primarily limited to Zambia itself? Are you looking outside of Zambia? I mean, we spoke earlier about the difficulties that's in Zimbabwe, and we do know that in that economy there must be opportunities because of the difficulty in capitalize the banks,
Sure.
given the liquidity situation in that economy.
Yep. No, I think it's a fair point. At the present time, our focus is purely on Zambia. We do a lot of business cross-border. We have correspondent banking relationships with good partners there. We work with our partner banks in the Rabo investments in the region as well. But right now, there's so much work to be done in Zambia that we don't see a particular need to open our own points of representation outside of Zambia.
Yeah, and a big one that's missing from me from that list of opportunities that you spoke about is the mining sector. When people speak about Zambia, they speak about the copper, and they speak about all the other minerals that we're finding in there. You're not focusing on that area at all?
Well, Zanaco is different from the other banks in many ways, and this is one of the other ways in which we're different. We're the People's Bank, we are a retail-focused bank, and we want to develop this for services which are convenient to our customers and which provide added value. This mining sector we do have exposure to. We're proud of our corporate facilities to some of the major mines. We do finance many of their staff. We do finance the value chain inputs and outputs from the mines, but we don't have the experience, the history, and the expertise to focus on primary copper mining lending at the present time. That may change in the future, but we've chosen as a result, as a policy, to say that's not where we're going to spend our capital.
Yeah, it's interesting you raised the point, because I was reading the other day, in fact, a feature that was written by Reuters about the copper belt, that backbone that runs between Zambia and the DRC. And they were talking about the vast amount of opportunities that are springing up in that area, and the influx of people that we're seeing coming into that area. It's not something that you'd look at across the border, perhaps into the Congo?
Well, the Congo is a different picture entirely again. I think we'll have to be a little cautious how we approach that.
Sure.
We have been approached by Congolese banks to start with partnerships, so we are in discussion there. And we do see opportunities there, again, in the value chain of the copper industry. So housing for staff members, payroll deducted loans to miners and staff members of the major mines. Looking at financing SMEs who provide input services for mines. Absolutely, we'd love to do that, and we're doing that already.
Finally, let's talk about SMMEs. I mean, when we talk about SMMEs across Africa, one of the main gripes, if you like, is always the fact that it's so difficult for small businesses to access finance. As a banker, is it hard in Zambia, or have you found it easier?
It's coming along. It's not as easy, I think, as many of our SME customers and prospective customers would like. But I think we're working hard to try and alleviate that. And what are we doing? We have a good financial literacy program which we have in place at the present time. Basically training for SMEs. How do you build a budget? How do you do cash flow prognoses? How do you get your books into the right presentation such that banks like Zanaco and others hopefully can take that and say, yes, this is a viable entity, we're going to financially support it going forward. So we're training a lot of SMEs. We've done 750 last year, and we'll continue to focus on that going forward. And we're proud to say that those who went through that SME program, actually most of them did become clients of ours as well.
Final word, Martin.
Sure.
Zambia, still a place for business, open for business.
Zambia is open for business, I believe. I think there's great opportunities there. We need to take a longer-term view on these things, and I think when you compare this opportunity for investment with many other African countries, you should find this ending up at the top of your list.
Absolutely. Martin Schouten, CEO of Zanaco, thanks for joining us tonight on Africa Prime.
Thank you, Godfrey.